So let us start for today. मतलब last class रे हमें question number 55 जाए सॉरी थिला तो मैं question number 56 रो start करिवा. So question पचार दी the model developed by Government of India for public service delivery as a part of citizen centric governance. Okay. तो इटा तमरो GS2 governance रे भी अच्छी तमरो ethics paper रे भी governance रे भी तमरो इटा अच्छी it is the seventh model. तो एटा तमरो मेंस आंसर राइटिंग रे भी तमरो एटा यूज करछो बहुत जगह रे गुड गवर्नेंस क्वेश्चन रे. तो सर्वोत्तम मॉडल इट वाज proposed by second ARC, proposed by second ARC in 2008. And now the standard model, it is a standard model to provide citizen centric governance. All right. So these are the three pillars of the Sevattam model, the three modules of quality management systems. This is QMS of Sevattam framework. ଗୋଟେ ହଉଛି citizen charter, first ହଉଛି citizen charter, then delivery capability and public grievance. So it is actually a circular loop. तो citizen charter citizen charter रे first एथरे को कराय जे आगे तम citizen charter दबो जोथरे कि तम स्पेसिफाई करिवो तमर को सर्विस देई परियो तम डिपार्टमेंट आ ताकू केमिति मॉनिटर करा हबो केमिति रिव्यू करा जिवो. तो citizen charter रे तमर प्रॉमिस कर दो जे आम डिपार्टमेंट एआईया दउची. तो the next step is after promising something you have to deliver upon the promise. So you have to improve on your delivery capacity towards the customers, towards employees and towards the infrastructure. So जहाँ हमें promise करछो सेटा हमें deliver कर परछो कि नहीं. So you have to work on the delivery capacity. तो delivery कला परे तमे feedback नबो. Feedback रे तमे जानिबो केते तमे improve कलो कि केते लाकुना रही जाइछ. Then comes the public grievance. This is the feedback stage where you receive the grievance, you address the grievance and take steps so that future रे grievance आसीबो नहीं. All right. So grievance नलो तापर public grievance रो जहाँ तम feedback मिलिबो तमे निजको ता थ्रू improve करिवो. So again you will implement that same thing in your promise. जे आमे या देखिलु we will improve upon the feedback we have received. So this is a circular loop. This is the Sevata model. Sevata means Seva Uttama. Okay. The Seva Uttama means the good quality of public service delivery. Okay. So Sevata model, it is now the standard model to provide citizen-centric governance. It is developed to rectify the drawbacks of earlier public service delivery models like the citizen charter. माने आगुर जेमती केवल citizen charter थला गोटे डिपार्टमेंट रो तो that citizen charter was uniform across all departments of the state and center also. So nobody tried to work upon the citizen charter or to improve their services or their promises or quality of public service delivery. So to rectify the errors in the previous models, so Sevattam model was adopted. All right. So this is the part of citizen centric governance Sevattam model. बाकी एवडा सब किछि ऑप्शन रो किछि माने ही नहीं. All right. So next move to the next question. Number of states covered under PESA Act 1996 are. So इथरे क्वेश्चन तमर ऑप्शन ही नहीं. The answer is 10. तमर शेड्यूल एरियाज उटा के देखि जानिथिबो तमे under article 244. Article 244 रे it's 244 clause 1 tells about fifth schedule and 6 and clause 2 tells about six schedule areas. All right. So आर्टिकल 244 रे शेड्यूल एरियाज ऊपर कहा हिची. तो ये जो फिफ्थ शेड्यूल एरियाज बना करे पेसा एक्ट को एक्सटेंड करा हिची. ऑलराइट. तो पेसा एक्ट ऑफ 1996 तमे पूर्व क्लास रे भी देखिथिबो तमरा आर्टिकल 339 रे जस्ट देखि दे जदी मिलिबो सेटा. Right, so here it is. Last class हमें देखी थे Article 339. It is about control of union over administration of scheduled areas and welfare of scheduled tribes. The president at times after 10 years of commission from the constitution may appoint a commission to report on administration of scheduled areas and the welfare of scheduled tribes in the states. Okay. So according to this article, as mandated by this article, President has appointed two commissions, the Devar Commission in 1960 and the Bhuria Commission in 1991. I mean, last class देखते थे Devar Commission dealt with the land alienation issues of the tribal people. Similarly, the Bhuria Commission of 1991 recommended the PESA Act. According to the recommendations of Bhuria Commission, the PESA Act of 1996 was introduced. All right. So PESA Act ଉପରେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିଦେବା. So PESA Act enacted on December 1996 to enable tribal self-rule in 5th schedule areas. So the 5th schedule areas, there are 10 states. 10 states, but it is the answer. So there are 10 states under 5th schedule areas. Its PESA Act aim hoji, it is to address marginalization, displacement, loss of resources, and cultural erosion faced by tribal communities. It is inspired by the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act. Core objective is to preserve tribal autonomy and ensure their participation of Gram Sabha in governance, especially over land, forest, and natural resource. The provision Gram Sabhas play the central role under this act. They are empowered to identify, plan, and implement development activities. Gram Panchayats, Gram Sabhas, Panchayat Samitis, they manage development and basic services. So they are given authority in natural resource management, environment protection, and economic regulation. So it is mandatory to consult with the Gram Sabha before any development activity in scheduled areas take place. All right. So this gives significant powers to the Gram Sabha. Funding provisions are made to transfer funds to Gram Sabha and Panchayats for effective functioning. Land rights, consent of Gram Sabha is needed before any land acquisition or land transfer. And cultural and social safeguards, it prohibits interference in tribal culture and social practices. All right. So, and outcomes tribal empowerment, community participation body in local governance and development, land rights have been protected, exploitation has been curbed by mandating the Gram Sabha consent, culture preserve customs practices way of life decentralization deep and local governance, basic service fee improve better education, healthcare and drinking water, because the local people know what their problems are better than the higher authorities. Limitations limited coverage excludes the tribal population living in non-scheduled areas out of these 10 states. Lack of awareness, tribal communities are unaware of their rights. Resource constant, the mandate just states to transfer funds to Gram Sabhas, but that has not been implemented proactively by the states. Okay, they lack funds and infrastructure for effective governance, trained personnel shortage of staff, political interference, decisions of Gram Sabha often ignored or overridden by political factors, legal conflicts. So, Olgapi law जो गुड़ा अच्छी Forest Right Act of 1980 हो, Wildlife Protection Act 1972, so they hinder effective implementation of the PESA Act. All right. So this is all about the PESA Act that is meant for only the 5th schedule areas, not the 6th schedule areas. Okay, 6th schedule areas belong to the northeast, Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Tripura. So तम भाबुथुव, so why this difference? तम केवल गोटाए 5th schedule रे ही सब जाक एरिया को एक सागर नेस रे ही न थांदा, but they are different because the tribal areas in northeast, they were less assimilated to the mainstream society compared to the tribals in the 5th schedule areas dealing with the mainland India. Okay, 5th schedule ला 10 states अछि तमर जेमती गुजरात, ओडिशा, MP, महाराष्ट्र ये सब 10 states अछि. So they are mainland India or tribal mane, they are more assimilated with the mainstream society compared to the northeast areas. So northeast areas रे जो 6th schedule area अछि सेठी autonomous district councils ki autonomous regional councils का provision अछि. Okay, so and these autonomous regional councils have significantly more autonomy compared to the 5th schedule areas. Okay, so that's why this difference has been made. All right, so 6th schedule autonomous district councils. सब स्टेट अच्छी सपोज आई थिंक आसाम रे 6टा ही डिस्ट्रिक्ट काउंसिल अच्छी, आई थिंक सो. ओके, सही पाखापाखि ही थिबो. ऑलराइट, so this is all about PESA. Next comes the World Economic Outlook report is published by which organization? So this is a simple question. WEO is released by IMF. तो बाकी जो सब ऑर्गेनाइजेशन गुड़ा देछि ता पर टिके देखि दवा, बट IMF पर टिके देखि दवा. So you must be knowing. So after the World War II, there was significant destruction in the European nations. So the Bretton Woods Conference was held in 1944 at New Hampshire in USA. Okay. So the aim of the Bretton Woods Conference was to discuss the rebuilding efforts after the World War II. So, and according to that conference, IMF and World Bank were established. They were established with the aim to rebuild the global economy and global economy after World War II and prevent a crisis like the Great Depression of 1930. Okay, So global economic development ଆଉ crisis ଆଉ economic management ପାଇଁ ତମର Bretton Woods institutions ତିଆରି ହେଲା that World Bank and IMF. Okay, so IMF ଉପରେ ଦେଖିଦବା. It is today a specialized UN agency established in 1944. Bretton Woods Conference, as I have said, Bretton Woods Conference was held to ensure global monetary stability post the Great Depression. This was in 1930s, Great Depression. So it promotes monetary cooperation, ensures financial stability, facilitates international trade, supports employment, works to reduce poverty. Okay. So functions: economic surveillance of member countries, policy advice PDA, financial assistance. It provides financial assistance to those countries who face a balance of payment crisis. All right. So recently ତମେ ଦେଖିଥିବ ପାକିସ୍ତାନ କୁ IMF provide କଲା balance loan provide କଲା to manage its balance of payment crisis. Similarly, 2 years before, Sri Lanka was also provided with IMF loans. All right. So it also delivers technical assistance and capacity building support. IMF loans are usually conditional upon economic reforms. Okay, ଯେମିତି India କୁ IMF loan ନେଇଥିଲା 1991 ରେ, it was conditional that India should implement the LPG reforms. Only then IMF will address the BOP crisis of India. Okay, so these loans are conditional upon economic reforms to ensure fiscal discipline and long-term growth. Okay, so IMF has been criticized for this because for this step that IMF tries to infringe on the sovereignty of nations uh, by dictating fiscal discipline. Okay, so IMF for voting power: IMF has 191 nations. Okay, each member has a quota based on its economic size and performance, which determines its voting power and access to funding. Okay, voting formula hochi 1 vote per 1 lakh SDR. Okay, plus basic votes. What are SDR? These are special drawing rights. These are an IMF created international reserve asset. This is not a currency, but can be exchanged among members for freely usable currencies. Okay, so SDRs are made of 5 currencies. Okay, 5 international currencies. They are the Japanese yen, US dollar, then the pound, this British sterling. Okay, that is the pound, euro, and the Chinese renminbi. Right. These 5 currencies ର ଗୋଟେ basket କରାଯାଏ. ଏଇ basket ରୁ ହିଁ IMF ର value କୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ SDR ର value କୁ determine କରାଯାଏ. Okay, so SDR ର value it changes daily. Okay, ଯେମିତି ସବୁ ଦିନ ହିଁ ତାର change होता है SDR ର value. So the SDR ର value it is today it is somewhat equal to 0. Okay, sorry. So $1 is equal to 0.7 SDR. So gotte SDR is equal to $1.3. Okay. So this value changes every day. Okay. These changes are made by the by IMF's board. Okay. So organizational structure, board of governor gote achi. Okay. That is the finance minister or central bank governors, and it is of the members, and it is the highest decision making body. Day-to-day affairs are managed by an executive board. Managing director is the chair of executive board. Okay, IMF headquarters is in Washington DC. Okay, so again voting ର ଉପରେ କୋଟା ଅଛି କିଛି. Okay, ତ India ର କୋଟା ଟିକେ ଦେଖିଦବା. Okay, USA has the voting quota of 17%. Okay, the voting quota of 17%, which is nearly 16% of total votes. Okay, then next voting quota, next hochi Japan ର, that is it has 6% of quota. Again total voter percentage hochi 6.14%. Okay, so এইটা ଦେଖିଦବ ତମର ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଏଇଟା ସରି ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ତମର ଏଇ ଟେବୁଲ ଟା ମୁଁ ମିସ୍ କରିଯାଇଛି, କୋଟା ଆଉ votes. Okay, so these numbers are percentage of SDR. This is the percentage of SDR. This is the percentage of votes. All right. 17% of SDR with USA. Percentage of votes is 16.49%. Japan is 6%, 6%. Third is China, 6% SDR. Votes percent is 6.08%. Similarly, India is in the 8th place today. Its percentage of SDR is 2.75%, and percentage of votes is 2.63%. Okay. So, she Nirmala Sitaram is the governor in the governor for India. Okay. So, ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ଦେଖିଲେ the board of governor usually finance ministers or central bank governors. Okay. So, this is all about, I guess this is all about IMF. IMF ର publication ଯେହେତୁ question ପଚାରିଛି which is the publication of IMF. IMF ର କିଛିଟା publication ଦେଖିଦବା. Okay. So, World Economic Outlook, Regional Economic Outlook, Global Financial Stability Report, and Fiscal Monitor. So, these are the 4 publications of IMF. Okay. So, these are the 4 publications of IMF. Again, ରହିଲା ଏବେ ଦେଖିଦବା World Bank. About World Bank. So, World Bank is the international institution that provides loans and grants to low and middle income and developing countries for purpose of pursuing capital projects. Okay. Capital projects means investment projects. Okay. It was established along with IMF in 1994 Bretton Woods Conference. Okay. And World Bank तमरा it is composed of 5 organizations. Okay. So it is the World Bank Group is the parent organization. It has 5 organizations: the IBRD, the IDA. The IBRD is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Again, it gives loans, credits, and grants. Loans, credits, and grants. IDA, International Development Assistance. No interest loans to low income countries. International Financial Corporation. Investment advice, asset management. Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA. This is multilateral investment. Investment guarantee agencies insures lender and investors against political risk. International Center for Settlement of International Disputes, ICSID. Investment disputes between investors and countries. So India is not a part of ICSID. Okay. So they serve the dual objectives of World Bank. Dual objective कौन? To end extreme poverty and increase shared prosperity. So तमें देखियो गोटे मार्क करिवो जदि IMF भी सही काम करछि तो World Bank भी सही काम ही करछि. तो what is the difference between IMF and World Bank? Okay. So major difference is regarding the size of projects the both organizations undertake. Okay. So it the comparison table देखि so Bretton Woods Conference, Washington DC ତାଙ୍କର headquarter. World Bank main objective is long-term economic development and poverty reduction. See, long-term economic development, and as you have seen, World Bank engages in capital projects. Okay, capital project investment kale it leads to multiplier effects, multiplier growth effects in the economy. Okay, so IMF ର କଣ ଅଛି? It engages in short-term financial stability and balance of payment support. Okay, ତ ସେଇ time ରେ ତାଙ୍କ crisis ଅଛି, ସେଇ time ରେ loan ଦେଇକି they should overcome their crisis. So that is the main job of IMF, to ensure fiscal stability. Okay, so primary function is for development projects like infrastructure, education, health. Okay, but your primary function is financial assistance, policy advice for countries facing balance of payment problem. Okay, so its target is developing and underdeveloped. IMF all member countries facing financial crisis can approach the IMF. Okay, so funding source of World Bank is from member countries and borrowing from capital markets. IMF from quota contribution from member countries. Okay, assistance project based loans, short to medium term loans, and long term goals, economic policy reforms. Okay, so these are simple things, you can read it. Major institutions which IBRD or IDA, International Development Assistance, these are the major institutions. World Bank. Okay, voting power focus area is long term development, and its focus area is monetary cooperation, financial stability. Okay, financial crisis को avoid करिबा. Okay, so this is all about the difference between World Bank and IMF. So World Bank ର भी reports अछि. ठीक है, देखिए World Bank ର reports, the World Development Report, Remittance and Migration Report. So please note migration and remittance. So এটা maybe ଲାଗୁଥିବ ଯେ World Bank ର ଏଟା କିଛି କାମ ନଥିବ, but this report is released by World Bank. Global Economic Prospectus Reports, this is also an important report. Poverty and Shared Prosperity Report, important. Okay, Financial Development Report, not so important. Logistics Performance Index, this is important. World Governance Indicators, this is important. Okay, so these are the reports by World Bank. All right. So this is all about World Bank. Next comes the UNCTAD. Okay, UN Conference on Trade and Development. Okay, so देखो WTO UNCTAD भितर मैं comparison कर देइछि, but for the purpose of this question, first we'll deal with UNCTAD. हम ପରେ World Bank को आसीबा. Okay, so UNCTAD 1964 it was a conference. Okay, during 1964 times of decolonization. Okay, north south or east west tensions thila. Okay, non alignment group emerge kartala, group of 77. So this group of 77, G77, so it was the coalition of developing nations. Okay, initially founded in 1969. So this was initially a group of 77 members, but today it has 134 members. Okay, 134 members, and it also includes China also. Okay, so aim of G77 was to promote its members' collective economic interests and enhance their negotiating capacity within the United Nations. Okay, so ଏବେ ଯେମିତି this this group, this G77, okay, has 134 members, but it is engaged in forwarding the voice of global south in global economic decision making. All right. So group 77, G77 astala name astala. Okay. So UNCTAD the formula hochi trade and not aid. Okay. तुमको aid देले developed country mane they will exploit developing countries. So rather than getting aid, you should engage in trade. Okay. And engage in building your own capacity and not develop on somebody else. Okay. So this is the press-based thinking. Okay. So UNCTAD ministerial first conference Geneva ହେଇଥିଲା. Okay. After this, permanent UNCTAD secretariat was established in Geneva. Okay. So UNCTAD, it is an intergovernmental machinery. Okay. So it is linked to UN General Assembly and Economic and Social Council. So UNCTAD Secretariat is a part. So UNCTAD Secretariat is a part of the UN Secretariat. Okay. So it is integrated with the UN. All right. And please note that this UNCTAD, it is not a specialized agency of the UN. Not a specialized agency of UN, but it has its secretariat is within the UN secretariat. Okay, so UNCTAD secretariat devoted to development areas. Okay, so no normative laws, no binding negotiations, only political negotiations. Okay, today's it has membership of 192 nations. Okay, strong participation of NGOs. Okay, non-government stakeholders also can participate in UNCTAD discussions. Okay, so its idea is integrated treatment of trade, investment, and issues. So it is a wide mandate. Okay, so the World Trade Organization, it only deals with how to simplify trade. Okay, it has nothing to do with any other issues. Okay, like development ho, investment ho, बाकी all trade छड़ा ଆଉ କିଛି discussion ଆଉ କିଛି aim ନାହିଁ WTO ର, but UNCTAD has a wide mandate. Okay, research on trade issues, development issues, consensus building through debates. Okay, again technical cooperation, policy, legal advice, training, institution building. Okay, so again trade is one of the instruments leading to development, but it is not the only instrument, unlike the aim of WTO. Okay. So there is no automatic link between trade liberation, poverty reduction, development. Okay. So the link between trade and development are multidimensional. The केवल trade ही करदेले सब किसी trickle down ହେଇଯିବ, the effect of prosperity will trickle down to everyone else. That is a myth. Okay. That is a neoliberal thinking. So UNCTAD says that trade is one of the instruments that can lead to development. It is not the only instrument. Okay. So it has advocated for special and differential treatment. It does not follow the one size fits all approach. Okay. So UNCTAD ର integrated vision ହଉଛି, so trade policy negotiation को should integrate with supply side production capacity, trade support services. So integrated approach. Okay, it has a wide mandate. Okay, the UNCTAD ର କିଛି unique ideas, that is the special and differential treatment. Okay, this is an idea given by UNCTAD. So identify development and impact of trade negotiations, need for coherence between international finance and trading systems. Okay, so impact of bilateral regional trade and investment, engage in indigenous capacity building, homegrown development. All right. So as we saw, the UNCTAD ର ବହୁତ ଗୁଡେ wide mandate ଅଛି, not only dealing with trade. So UNCTAD ର report କିଛି ଅଛି. Okay. Report are trade and development report, world investment report, least developed countries report. Okay. World investment report, least developed countries report. Okay, so these are the reports by UNCTAD. Okay, so UNCTAD gala, and now remains is OECD. The WTO पर मैं लिखी जी but discuss करनी but we'll come to WTO in the next question because WTO UNCTAD रा same role रहुची. Okay, so WTO the forerunner. Okay, WTO. Earlier, it was called the Organization for European Economic Cooperation, or EEC, which was formed to administer the American and Canadian aid under Marshall Plan for reconstruction of Europe after World War II. Okay, so after World War II, Marshall Plan re Europe को और Canada को reconstruction ପାଇଁ fund दिया ହେଲା. So then the OEEC was formed. Okay, so OEEC. So after, okay, so in 1961, the OEEC transformed into OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Okay. Since then, OECD's aim is to deliver greater well-being worldwide by advising government and policies that support resilient and inclusive growth, evidence-based policy making, collaboration with G7 and G20. Okay. OECD has helped advance reforms and multilateral solutions to global challenges. All right. So these are some of the inventions by OECD. Okay. That the polluter pays principle. Okay. So this is the invention by OECD. Okay. Again, PISA in education. Okay. PISA तमे जानते हो कोई test. It is a test. The PISA रा full form होची Program for International Student Assessment. Okay. So it is a test to assess the reading, mathematics, and science literacy of 15-year students worldwide. Okay. So again, throughout its history, OECD has striven to become more global, more inclusive, right? Build better policies, foster prosperity, opportunity, equality, and well-being. Okay, so work closely with policymakers. So it is type of a think tank. Okay, I'm not think tank what I but it is it thinks about the policies that can lead to further prosperity and opportunity towards equality and well-being in society. All right. So it helps countries forge a path towards stronger and fairer and cleaner societies. Okay. So these are the OECD nations. OECD nations. OECD today they have 38 nations. Okay. And blue ray, light blue ray these are the countries that are aspiring to join OECD. Okay. Deep blue, these are the countries that are already in OECD. So there are 38 members. Okay. And mostly they are developed nations. Okay. Then mostly OECD nations are developed nations. Okay. So OECD has ଅଲଗା ବି କିଛି ସେ ମାନେ ଯୋଉ ତମେ ଶୁଣିଥିବ OECD has implemented the BEPS. Base erosion and profit sharing. Okay. Base erosion and profit sharing where global MNCs, it is a minimum tax on global MNCs. Okay, so it has recommended a minimum tax on global MNCs at 15%. Okay, so simply global MNCs they have they don't have presence in everywhere, but they do business everywhere. Okay, so to discuss that, OECD has invented BEPS. Okay, so these are some of the fact about OECD. And OECD ର ବି କେତେ report ଅଛି ଯେମିତି ତମର international migration outlook, agricultural policy monitoring and evaluation, this is also a report but not important. And OECD employment outlook. OECD employment outlook, this has been released just recently 2025 re. So this report tells about the population aging that is shaping the future of societies and labor markets. Okay, so this report tells about population aging. So please note परीक्षा जदि employment outlook पचारथिबो तो maybe international labor organization option रे देइथिबो तो maybe confuse ହେଇକି labor ILO मार दबो. Okay, so don't do that. OECD employment outlook, this is a report by OECD. Employment outlook भी पचार देइ पारे. Okay. So I think this is all about this question. Okay. All right. So this is all about this question. Next question is the which of the following sectors contributes to the largest percentage towards GNP? Okay. So GNP, as you all know, gross national product. So GNP, it is GDP plus net factor income from abroad. Net factor income from abroad. Okay. So that is the formula of GNP. Okay. So, but you already know, India is empty. Which of the following sectors contributes the largest percentage? Okay, India रे तमें जानचो, service sector contributes about 55% to the GDP. Already contributes 55%, and factor income from abroad. Mostly Indians who are working abroad, they are also engaged in the services sector abroad. Okay, so ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଯାହା ବି ଇନକମ୍ ଆସିବ ସେଟା ପୁଣି ସର୍ଭିସ ସେକ୍ଟରରେ ହିଁ କାଉଣ୍ଟ କରାଯିବ ଓକେ so ଯଦି ପଚାରିଛି which of the following is the largest sector contribution towards GNP that will again be the service sector only okay service sector so this is a easy question okay service sector okay so ଦେଖ primary sector ଯେମିତି ଆମର 2024-2025 ରେ primary sector contribute to 17% of GDP secondary sector about 27% tertiary sector about 55% to GDP okay so service sector contributes about 55% so so this is the case okay ତମେ ଏଟା simple କଥା ଏଟା ବି ଜାଣିଥିବ so ଯଦି abroad ରୁ କେହି ପଠଉଛନ୍ତି ଆମକୁ factor income that mostly deals with services also okay so ଏଟା question ସରିଲା ଆମର 59 okay now question number 60 OTCEI this is the कौन पचाची OTCEI एटा मे भी तमे भाबिथियो क्वेश्चन डिजाइन काले बुझी दो ठीक है एटॉमिक सबमरीन पचाची गोटे डिफेंस रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ओके so these two options are similar ଗୋଟେ submarine ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ defense research organization both these options deal with defense in these two options they deal with economic policy of USA share market of India ତ ଏଇଥିରୁ କିଛି କିଛି ତମେ ଭାବିପାରିବ option design କେମିତି କରାଯାଏ okay so the answer is an Indian share market okay so OTCI will see about it it is the over the counter exchange of India okay so over the counter exchange of India OTCEI it was established in 1990, HQ in Mumbai. It was recognized under Securities Contract Regulation Act of 1956. Okay, so it operated entirely through a computer network, electronic trading होता था खाली. Okay, so its aim was to help small companies raise capital as they face challenges meeting stringent listing requirements of national stock exchanges. Okay, so जो मानकर छोट छोट कंपनी कैपिटल रेज करिया चाहउछंती बट मार्केट नेशनल मार्केट रे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज रे पार्टिसिपेट करि परिबेनी ड्यू टू रेट टेपिंग ओके तो बहुत गुटे रिक्वायरमेंट अछि जोटा कि ସେମାନେ फुलफिल करि पारनांती तो छोट छोट कंपनी मान पई ओटीसीआई हेतला ओके so it provided alternate trading platform for small and medium enterprises easier access to capital relaxed listing requirements it acted as a stepping stone for small companies to grow and migrate to national exchanges once eligible okay so technology impact purely computer रे ही होतला electronic trading so तो एबे बाकी सब जाक ट्रेडिंग इलेक्ट्रॉनिक ही होउची ओके so this narrowed the gap between traditional exchanges and OTCI okay small and medium companies ଆଉ stock restrictions okay so एवढा एते दरकार नहीं एवढा सब OTCI was a tech-driven stock exchange designed to promote capital access for small and medium enterprises in India, simplified rules, exclusive listing, and vision to graduate these firms to large exchanges over time. Okay, so but OTCI, ebbe tao nahi OTCI, so OTCI was de-recognized by SEBI in 2015. Okay, de-recognized by SEBI in 2015, and it was liquidated in 2017. Okay. liquidated in 2017 so এটা 2018 ର question paper ତ 2017 ରେ liquidate ହେଇଥିଲା ତ this ଏଟା ଗୋଟେ current affair question okay so OTCI so it was liquidated in 2017 so why it was liquidated because it could not generate the sufficient amount of trading volume and it did not attract any significant investor interest okay so ଯେହେତୁ ଛୋଟ ଥିଲା ତ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଏଟା liquidate କରିଦିଆହେଲା okay OTCI was liquidated ଏଟା ଏବେକାର ନାହିଁ ଆଉ Alright, so it was an Indian share market. Next comes the question number 61. Okay, so which national income in India is estimated by? Okay, ତ ଏଇଥିରେ ଯାହା ବି ଅପସନ ଦେଇଛି ଏଗୁଡ଼ା କିଛି ହିଁ ଆନ୍ସର ହବନି ବଟ୍ ସେତେବେଳେ ଥିଲା CSO ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ଷ୍ଟାଟିଷ୍ଟିକାଲ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ ତ ଆମେ ଟିକେ ଦେଖିଦେବା ଏପରେ okay about the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation alright so it came in 1999. Okay, the ministry has two wings, one related to statistics and other related to program. এটা ଗୋଟେ table କରିଦଉଛି. Okay, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, two wings. Okay, sorry. two wings. One is related to statistics. Okay. Another is related to program implementation. Okay. Another related to program implementation. This statistics wing is called the NSO, National Statistical Office. Okay. This is called NSO. This is National Statistical Office. Okay. So National Statistical Office re ahuri tinta khonde achandi. Central Statistical Office, Data Information and Innovation Division, and NSSO, National Sample Survey Office. Okay. So yeah, under the tinta organization achandi. Central Statistical Office, the Data Informatics and Innovation Division, DIID, and the National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO. All right, NSSO. And Program Implementation Wing re tinta division achi. Okay. One is the 20-point program, 20-point program. Another is infrastructure monitoring and project monitoring. Okay. Infrastructure monitoring and project monitoring. And another is MP-led scheme. MP-led scheme. Okay. So this is the MP local area development program. Okay. So these are the division are under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay. And there are two autonomous bodies under MOSPI. So ए भीतर नुह, but there are two. एथर लिखा है जी, मु जस्ट एथर नहीं लिखि दउची ए टेबुलर फॉर्मेट ता सेटा मु एथर ही करची, तमे एटा परे देखि दबो. ओके. Besides, there are two wings. There is a National Statistical Commission. Okay. Created through a resolution of Government of India of MOSPI. It is an it is an autonomous institute like. Okay. Okay, so National Statistical Commission, this is an autonomous institute by MOSPI, and there is an autonomous institute, that is the Indian Statistical Institute. Okay, so National Statistical Commission, so what is it? It is an autonomous body to evolve policies and priorities and standards with respect to statistics. Okay, so it deals with formulation of statistics policies, and it sets the standards and priorities of the statistics. Okay, of the statistics methods that India adopts. Okay, so this is National Statistical Commission, NSC, and about Indian Statistical Institute, we'll see. Okay, Indian Statistical Institute, 1932 रे register ହେଇଥିଲା. Okay, so it is a institute of national importance by an act of parliament declared in 1959. Okay, so because this is an institute of national importance, so this is a statutory body. Okay, because Parliament Act through taku designation diya hai. Okay, headquarter of ISI is located in Kolkata. It has four centers located in Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Tezpur. Tezpur is in Assam, and there is another office in Hyderabad also. Okay, so okay, so this is about Indian Statistical Institute. Tomorrow in each option Indian Statistical Institute, so that's why I am telling about all this. Okay, so okay, so about Indian Statistical Institute. So this institute was the brainchild of Prasant Chandra Mahalanobis. Right, this is the brainchild of PC Mahalanobis. Okay, so PC Mahalanobis, he was the nucleus who behind whom this institute was established. If you don't know PC Mahalanobis, so you should search about him. So our second 5-year plan, it's called the Mahalanobis model. So its aim was to develop heavy industries for rapid industrialization and catapult the nation towards long-term economic growth. Okay, so about PC Mahalanobis, you should know. All right, so ଏବେ ଦେଖିଦବା. Okay, so national income in India is estimated by today. It is estimated by NSO. ଯଦି ଅପସନ ଆସିବ ତମକୁ CSO ଦିଆ ହେଇନଥିବ, it is done by NSO. Okay, so NSO under ରେ ଆମେ ଯେମିତି ଦେଖିଲେ ଏଇ ତିନିଟା ବଡି ଅଛି. So all these they together calculate the national income in India. Okay, ଯଦି ଆଜି क्वेश्चन ପଚାରିବ, it is calculated under NSO. Okay, planning commission ତମେ ଜାଣିଛ. Planning Commission was a body to formulate India's 5-year plan. It was established in 1950. Okay, so it was an advisory body to assess the resources, develop the plans, and monitor policy implementation. Okay, so this was dissolved in 2015 with Niti Aayog. Okay, you all know it. Finance Commission, it is a constitutional body under Article 280 about Indian Statistical Institute. I have said it. Okay, so देखो गोटे जिनस देखदो about 20-point program. So what is this 20-point program? Okay, तो 20-point program गोटे देखदवा. एटा हमें most probably पढ़िनु, but जेतु MOSPI website रे 20-point program एबे भी exclusively mention ହେଇची. तो टिके देखि दवा ता ऊपर व्हाट इज द 20 पॉइंट प्रोग्राम. सो its main aim was to alleviate poverty and improve quality of life of people. Okay, its primary objective of plan development. Okay, plan plan development ର main objective ଥିଲା to poverty elimination and improve the life of people. So 20 point program, it is a package of programs with schemes relating to poverty elimination, employment generation, education and health. Okay, so TPP, it was first came in 1975. Okay, so please remember this date. 1975 ରେ first ଆସିଥିଲା TPP. It was restructured in 1982, 1986 and again in 2006. Okay, तीन थर restructuring ହେଇଛି. Okay, so TPP 2006, that we all know till today. Okay, ଏବେ ଯୋଉଟା ଚାଲିଛି that is TPP 2006. It came into effect in 2007, 1st April 2007. Okay, the program is meant to give a thrust to schemes relating to poverty alleviation, employment, rural areas, housing, education. Okay, so TPP scheme, it is in harmony with priorities contained in Millennium Development Goals. Okay, so 20 program ଅଛି. What is the 20 points? It ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି poverty, power to people, support to farmer, labor welfare, food security, housing, drinking water, health, education, welfare to minor welfare of vulnerable sections, women welfare, child welfare, youth, slum improvement. Okay, environment protection. So so everything. So this is a complete package of economic development that should be done in India. Okay, so this is about the 20 point program. तो यहाँ पर बेसी डिटेल की जानिया दरकार नहीं. ओके, तो এটা 2006 ର लास्ट टाइम अपडेट ହେଇଥିଲା. तापर गवर्नमेंट ର भी एते फोकस नहीं या ऊपर. ओके, बट एटा MOSPI वेबसाइट रे जेतु लेखा हिच एक्सक्लूसिवली तो हम सेत में एटा कहि देली. ओके, तो एटा सरला हमर क्वेश्चन 61. नेक्स्ट कम्स आवर क्वेश्चन 62. To lower interest rates, the RBI should. Okay, so just a second, we'll take a glass of water. Okay, to lower interest rate, the RBI should. ସେମିତି ପଚାରିଛି interest rate. ତମକୁ ମାଇଣ୍ଡ ରେ ବହୁତ ପିଲାଙ୍କର କନଫ୍ୟୁଜନ ଆସେ interest rate ମାନେ କଣ. तो interest rate माने तम भाबुथुबो what is it, जोटा कि is it the interest that banks give us in our saving accounts, जो ना हमर फिक्स डिपॉजिट रे जो पकोछ तार इंटरेस्ट रेट, ना बैंक ठु हमें लोन ले बैंक जो इंटरेस्ट दोची सेटा. ओके, सो व्हाट इज इट. सो तमे गोटे जिंस मन रखि दबो इंटरेस्ट रेट माने द एटा को कौनसी गोटे जिंस मन रखियो. आइदर इट तमे जोटा मन रखो, आइदर इट मे बी यू कैन कनेक्ट इट टू द either the repo rate or the interest rate is the rate that banks charge for loan. Okay, बैंक to loan आने बैंक तुमको जो इंटरेस्ट का चार्ज करछि that it is talking about that interest. Okay, तो either गोटे मन रखियो repo rate ठीक हेले चलिबो कि ए लोन हेले भी चलिबो, because repo rate and the loan that bank charges its customers, they are related. जेमति repo rate, it is the rate at which banks take money from RBI. Okay, it is the rate at which banks take money from RBI. जदि बैंक माने high repo rate रे interest नेबे RBI टू, then they will charge the same higher rates from their customers. Okay, so and जदि RBI तांको lower repo rate रे loan दे देला तो bank will pass on that benefit to its customers. Okay, so either तमे repo rate रे माने रखो कि the rate that banks charge for loans, तमे जो गोटे जिंस को रिलेट कर दियो इंटरेस्ट रेट संगे, both will act in the same manner only. Okay, so question is, to lower interest rate the RBI should. Okay, so lower interest rate माने suppose तमे भाबो to lower the rate that banks charge for loans. Okay, बैंक केते बेले तुमको कम लोन चार्ज करिवे when bank have adequate cash. Okay, जेतले बैंक पाखरे पैसा बहुत थिबो. Okay, only then they can give you loan at lower interest rate. Okay, तो ऑप्शन रे देखिवो ओ स्टेप नेले मनी ର liquid बैंक पाखरे कैश रहिवो कि liquidity in economy is high. Okay, ଯେମିତି buy securities. Okay, we'll see decrease in money supply. तो एटा तो पूरा भूल ही ऑप्शन. जदि मनी कमी जिवो ताले बैंक माने हायर रेट चार्ज करिवो. ओके, raise the treasury bill rate. Okay, treasury bill कोन हमें देखिया हबे, raising the treasury bill rate will lead to decrease in money supply. Okay, so again this is also wrong option. Raise the reserve requirement, एटा भी हमें देखिया कोन reserve requirement raise कले again it will lead to decrease money supply, so एटा हबोनी. Buy securities. Okay, when RBI will buy securities from the market, ओके सो देन आरबीआई किणिबो माने आरबीआई पैसा देकी किणिबो पैसा दबो माने एबे मार्केट को पैसा आसिला लिक्विडिटी बढ़िला ओके जदि लिक्विडिटी बढ़िला तो बैंक को पई सुविधा हबो टू गिव लोअर to charge lower interest from their customers. Okay, so A is the answer. Buy securities. So securities, so तमे जानछो एटा securities they are tradable assets that have some monetary value. Okay, they represent ownership or debt. Okay, they can represent ownership. They can also represent debt. Okay, so there are types of securities like debt securities, equity securities, hybrid securities. Hybrid securities means they have components of both debt and equity. Derivative securities. Derivative means the value of that security is derived from some another asset. Okay, like gold, ki real estate, jahapi. Its value is derived from other assets. So that's why the name derivative. Okay, so these are securities. So jodi securities RBI କିଣିଲା RBI पैसा ଦେଇକି କିଣିବ RBI market ରେ money supply କରିବ ତାପରେ କିଣିବ money supply କଲେ banks will be encouraged to charge lower interest rates okay because they have more money with them okay so answer will be A to buy securities okay and now treasury bill or reserve requirement ଉପରେ take ଦେଖିଦବା okay treasury bill or T bill okay so government ର ବି security ଅଛି security as I have studied securities are tradable assets with monetary value so government ଚାରି ପ୍ରକାର security ଦଉଛି okay treasury bills cash management bills okay open market operation already yes open market operation is also a method where RBI can RBI can increase or decrease the monetary supply in the economy okay that is also a method of done by RBI okay so treasury bills, cash management bills, these are government securities, debtor securities and state development loans. Okay. तो आमे एवडा सब एबे देखिबानी बहुत रे क्वेश्चन रे ए टर्म डा आसीबो जेतोले आसीबो आमे सेतोले देखिदबा ओके सो व्हाट आर ट्रेजरी बिल्स और टी बिल्स short term debt instruments issued by government of India for maturity of less than 1 year okay T bills are short term money less than 1 year okay they are zero coupon securities pay no interest okay instead they are issued at a discount and redeemed at face value at maturity okay for example भी ଦେଇଛି ଏଠି ତମ ବୁଝିବା ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ 91 day treasury bill ଅଛି 100 ଟଙ୍କାର 100 ଟଙ୍କା is the face value okay so that will be issued to you at rupees 98 okay that is at a discount of 1.80 okay so ତମକୁ 98 rupees ରେ ଗୋଟେ 100 ଟଙ୍କାର ଟି ବିଲ୍ ଦେଇ ଦିଆଗଲା so that ତମକୁ 91 days ପରେ ତମେ 100 ତମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ କୁ ଦବ ତମେ 100 ଟଙ୍କା ପାଇବ ଓକେ ତମେ 98 rupees ଦେଇଥିଲ ବଟ୍ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ କୁ ଦବ ତମେ 100 ଟଙ୍କା ପାଇବ again ତମର gain ହେଲା 1.8 rupees alright so 1.8 rupees so this is the face value of the T bill it is given at a discounted rate so what is the discounted rate this is 1.80 okay so this is redeemed at face value redeemed at face value means after 91 days it is redeemed at 100 rupees this is the face value okay it is redeemed at face value but ତମେ କିଣିଥିଲ କେତେ 98 rupees ରେ okay so 1.80 rupees is your profit okay so this is the concept of T bill or treasury bill okay How reserve requirements? So reserve requirements. This is the reserve deposit ratio. This is the reserve by okay. देखो जल्दी suppose कोटे customer bank रे deposit करची 100 टंका ओके जदि गोटे लोक 100 टंका बैंक रे डिपोजिट करची आउ जदि रिजर्व डिपोजिट रेशियो आरटीआर रेशियो दिस इज डिटरमाइंड टू बी 20% ओके जदि 20% हला तो 0.2 ओके व्हाट इज 0.2 तो 0.2 माने तमरा 20% of 100 rupees is 20 rupees 20 this 20 will be kept as reserve money okay and the reserve money by the bank and the rest 80 rupees the bank can lend to anyone okay तो 100 टका जदि बैंक पाइला जदि रिजर्व डिपोजिट रेशियो 20% तो 20 टका से रखिबो रिजर्व रखिया बाध्य ओके टू दिस इज डन टू provision for any kind of contingency okay reserve 20 rupees rahila rest 80 they can lend to anyone else bank will keep these reserves either with themselves that is the SLR this is the statutory liquidity ratio or with the RBI that is CRR this is the cash reserve ratio okay so these are the reserves okay RDR reserve deposit ratio is the sum of CRR and SLR okay so देखो क्वेश्चन पचार रेज द रिजर्व रिक्वायरमेंट एबे सपोज जदि रेज द रिजर्व रिक्वायरमेंट हला से आगुरो 100 टका पाइले से जदि 20 टका रिजर्व रखुतला एबे जदि रेज कर दला तमे एबे से 60 टका रखियो तो ता पाखरे लोन दबा को एबे केते बळिला ताको 40 टका रहइला तो मनी सप्लाई इन द मार्केट विल रिड्यूस ओके सो एटा हबन ओके raise the treasury bill rate जदि treasury bill रो rate बढ़ाई दला ओके जदि treasury bill रो rate बढ़ाई दला ताले suppose 100 टंका रो treasury bill से देइची जदि रेट बोली ए जो रेट होची माने जो जते पैसा ताको फ्यूचर रे मिलिबो ओके सपोज जदि ताको से ताको 100 टंका रो ट्रेजरी बिल दिस इज द फेस वैल्यू ऑफ द ट्रेजरी बिल एबे जदि ताको आगुरो 98 रुपीस रे देउथला एबे जदि ताको एबे जदि से लोक को 90 रुपीस रे मिलिबो ओके तो लोक पाखे लोक पाखे आसला माने इकोनॉमी को आसला 90 रुपीस आगुरो थला 98 रुपीस आसतला एबे आसला 90 रुपीस सो फ्यूचर रे हां से 10 टका पाइबो एक्स्ट्रा बट फॉर द टाइम बिंग मार्केट रे मनी सप्लाई कमी गला by 8 rupees okay so this has led to decrease in money supply so C and D option these are essentially the same thing that will lead to reduction in money supply so तमे जदि भी ऑप्शन केवल ऑप्शन ही देखिवो ऑप्शन ए इज द ऑड वन आउट बाय सिक्योरिटी कले मार्केट रे मनी सप्लाई बढ़िबो बाकी ऑल तीनटा कर मनी सप्लाई कमिबो सो दिस विल बी द आंसर ओके विदाउट सीइंग द क्वेश्चन यू कैन आल्सो टेक इट ओके बट डोंट डू दैट ऑलराइट नाउ एटा सरला so currency deposit ratio CDR currency held by deposit of public in bank so CDR this depends on the wishes of the customer okay ता इच्छा हेले से 50 टका रखियो कि 60 टका रखियो so that is the wish of the public okay एथरे बैंक रे किछि हाता नै RDR रे बैंक कैन रेगुलेट द रिजर्व ऑफ banks commercial banks okay so next question is Gresham's law Gresham's law comes into operation okay Gresham's law ऊपर टिके देखि दवा so sir Thomas Gresham so he was a financier okay during Henry's 8th reign देखो फर्स्ट कोन हितला टिके ग्रेशम ओके ओ ठीक अछि देखि दवा पे so during Henry's reign silver content in English coins were reduced and replaced with base metals okay so uh, फास्ट होची कॉइन गोटा भलो क्वालिटी कॉइन अर्लियर आसुला बट टू द स्टेट इन द एम ऑफ इंक्रीजिंग देयर प्रॉफिट दे ट्राई टू रिड्यूस एंड रिप्लेस द सिल्वर विथ बेस मेटल्स ओके सो एबे मार्केट रे दी प्रकार कॉइन चलला गोटे कॉइन रे हाई सिल्वर अछि गोटे कॉइन रे लो सिल्वर कंटेंट अछि ओके दिस both these coins began circulation in the market okay so people started hoarding the more valuable high silver coins and used the debased coins for transaction okay so, what is the definition of Gresham's law? That is, bad money drives out good money. Okay, when both the money are legal tender and accepted at the same face value. Okay, so what is good money? Good money माने जो तेरे silver रे तियारी हेतला, it has more intrinsic value than face value. Okay, जो तेरे के high silver अछि, एतर high silver अछि, तार intrinsic value बहुत अधिका, किंतु face value कम. So this good money has been undervalued. Okay. Bad money जोतर silver amount कम अछि has less intrinsic value than its face value okay so एथरे this has been overvalued okay like this is the debased coins okay तो यार value ठो अधिका तक value दिया होची that is the bad money a value ठो तांकर कम value दिया होची that is the good money okay so mechanism यार concept कोन people spend the bad money and hoard good money रे silver अछि एथरे silver नाही तो लोक कोन करिवे बैड मनी को ही खर्च करिवे किंतु गुड मनी को रखि देबे ओके सो मींस दे यूज्ड प्रेशियस मेटल्स टू मिंट आउट कॉइन्स बट issuers often reduced metal content to raise revenue okay so legal tender laws required both old and new coins to be accepted at the same face value even though their market values differ as we have seen जेतु गुड मनी रा वैल्यू अधिका बिकॉज़ सदर सिल्वर अधिका अछि ओके तार फेस वैल्यू अधिका कंपेयर टू इट्स इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू oh sorry its face value कम compared to its intrinsic value okay so legal tender laws require both old and new coins to be accepted at the same face value, even their market values differ. Okay, so this led to overvaluation of new coins. New coins जोटा कि bad coins. Okay, this is the bad money. Overvaluation ही गला and undervaluation of old coins. That is the good money को undervalue ही गला. माने good money जोटा कि तमे जानला silver तादरे देखो good money जोटा कि suppose तादरे silver 100 टंका अछि. Bad money रे silver 50 टंका अछि. But एथरे कोन लिखा है जी एबे जो currency in circulation ଅଛି okay currency circulation ର value ହଉଛି 75 suppose okay ତ bad money ର value actual value 50 but actual value 50 but government କହିଛି ଯେ ସେ value 75 ରହିବ good money ର actual value ହଉଛି 100 but government କହିଛି ଯେ 75 ରହିଲା ତା value ତ ସେ 100 ଟଙ୍କା ଜିନିଷ ଯଦି 75 ରେ ହେଇଛି ତ ଏଟା under value ହେଲା ନା ତ this is under valuation आ जदि 50 टका जिनसटा 75 हला तो दिस इज ओवर वैल्यूएशन ऑलराइट so this caused currency debasement and reducing the purchasing power of new money okay reducing the purchase currency reduced purchasing power okay so reduced purchasing power eta hochi new money habani purchasing power of old money sorry thinking it's currency devaluation and reduced purchasing power okay of new money okay so new money hochi bad money so eta reduced purchasing power of old money habo I'm sorry okay because old money has been undervalued so its value has been reduced so reduced purchasing power of old money habo okay so government response kono loko jehetu ebe hoard kar deichanti government speculator manu blame kale imposed currency control coin hoarding kei kar paribeni removal from circulation and confiscated private stores of precious metals okay so so this was the case of Grisham's law so Grisham law ro present context re kon achi प्रेजेंट कंटेक्स्ट रे तमे श्रीलंका रे इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस देखि परिबो ओके श्रीलंका रे इकोनॉमिक क्राइसिस जस्ट 2 वर्ष तले हेतरा वेयर द एक्सचेंज रेट वाज फिक्स्ड एट 200 श्रीलंकन रुपीस पर $1 ओके तो डिस्पाइट ब्लैक मार्केट रेट्स valuing the dollar much higher so dollar was the good money the Sri Lankan rupee was the bad money okay Sri Lankan rupee was the bad money because ଶ୍ରୀଲଙ୍କାନ ରୁପିର ଯେତିକି ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ ନୁହଁ ଯୋଉଟା କି 200 ଟଙ୍କାରେ $1 ମିଳିବା କଥା ନୁହଁ ବଟ୍ ତାକୁ ଏବେ $200 ରେ $1 ମିଳିବ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ କହିଛି ଓକେ ସୋ this bad money has been overvalued good money has been undervalued okay the overvalued rupee undervalued the US dollar so କଣ ହେଲା as a result ଲୋକମାନେ US ଡଲାର କୁ सर्कुलेशन କରିବାକୁ ଛାଡ଼ିଲେନି ଲୋକମାନେ ହୋର୍ଡିଂ କରିବା ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କଲେ US ଡଲାର କୁ because it is easily available ତ କମ ପଇସାରେ ମିଳୁଛି ତ ତାକୁ ଏବେ hoarding kale dollar became scarce in official markets okay people hoarded the money dollars and avoided using it okay thus rupee ra value kon hala so rupee that is the bad money it drove out good money ओके तो एबे मार्केट रे रुपी एते आसी गला जे डॉलर पळेला मार्केट रो बिकॉज़ एवरीवन इज होल्डिंग इट ओके तो आ गोटे कांसेप्ट अछि थियर्स लॉ ओके दिस इज इन कंट्रास्ट टू द this is in contrast to the Gresham's law okay Thiers law suggests that in a free exchange environment good money drives out bad money okay जदि फ्री एक्सचेंज हबो सपोज जदि फ्री एक्सचेंज रेट हेतांता श्रीलंका जदि किछि इंपोज करनतांता एक्सचेंज रेट मैंडेट देन dollar would have got its value तार जहा अर्थ से सेतिकी ही रखि थांता ओके तो गुड मनी दैट इज डॉलर विल ड्राइव आउट द बैड मनी okay this is the opposite of Gresham's law people tend to prefer and return high quality currencies and discard the inferior currency okay so Gresham's law operates under legal tender and fixed exchange rate conditions causing bad money to dominate Thiers law applies in free markets where better currency prevails by popular choice okay all right so this is all about Gresham's law so the answer is D. Good money is hoarded, melted, and exported. Okay, again, I'll explain the sums. Okay, okay, I'll do it. So, good money is hoarded, melted, and exported. Network is poor. Okay, so, देखो, Gresham's law रे कौन क्या है जी? So, just a second. So, suppose देखो, दी प्रकार मेटल अच्छी. Okay, गोटे हो जी so this started in England in 1519 to 1579. Okay, so silver content in English shilling coins was reduced and replaced with base metals. Okay, so गोटे coin अच्छी तारा suppose silver suppose 80 बुझी दियो so गोटे coin अच्छी silver coin तारा value is 100 rupees. Okay, silver रो intrinsic value होची 100 टंका but it is traded in market at 75 rupees. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ होची तमरो अंडर भैल्यूड कॉइन जोदरे सिल्वर कंटेंट कम अछि सपोज तादरे 50 टंकार सिल्वर अछि बट गवर्नमेंट कहिछि जे तार वैल्यू 75 ही रहइबो ओके करेंसी इन सर्कुलेशन विल बी 75 ओनली दिस इज द मैंडेट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट सो व्हाट हैपेंस जेहेतु एबे आगुर जो मनीटा अछि दैट इज द जोदरे बेसी सिल्वर अछि ओके सो से सिल्वर रे कोन सो से सिल्वर रे कोन हबो जे तमरो Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll start with ମୁଁ ତ ପୁରା ଇଏ ଥରେ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବି ଓକେ ଏଟା କହିବାକୁ ଟିକେ ଏକ୍ସପ୍ଲେନ୍ କରାହଉଛି କଣ୍ଟେକ୍ସଟ ନ ଜାଣିଲେ ଏକ୍ସପ୍ଲେନ୍ କରିବାକୁ କଷ୍ଟ ହଉଛି ଓକେ So first eta केदा start हेतला during Henry VIII's reign. Silver content in English coins was reduced and replaced with base metals. Okay, so high silver coin and low silver coins were circulated together. Okay, high silver coin माने कौन जोटा कि आगुरु circulation रे आस्थला जे सेतरे अधिका silver content रहिबो. Okay, that was in circulation. And low silver or bad coins that were circulated that came later. Okay, so people कौन कले they hoarded the more valuable high silver coins and used the debased coin for transaction. Okay, तो ଏବେ କଣ ହେଇଛି ଏବେ ଯୋଉ ସିଲଭର କଏନ ଯୋଉ ଆସୁଥିଲା ଆଗରୁ ଆସୁଥିଲା ସପୋଜ ସିଲଭର କଏନ ର ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ ଥିଲା 100 ସପୋଜ ସିଲଭର ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ ଥିଲା 100 ଓକେ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଯୋଉ କଏନ ଆସିଲା ସେଥିରେ 50 rupees ର ସପୋଜ 50 ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ ଅଫ ସିଲଭର ଅଛି ଏବେ ବଟ୍ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ କହିଛି both types of coin will have value of 75 rupees okay of 75 ତ 50 ଟଙ୍କାର କଏନ 75 ରେ ସର୍କୁଲେଟ ହଉଛି 100 ଟଙ୍କାର କଏନ ବି 75 rupees ରେ ସର୍କୁଲେଟ ହଉଛି ତା ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ 75 ତ ଭଲ କଏନ ଯୋଉଟା 100 ଟଙ୍କାର ଜିନିଷକୁ ଅଣ୍ଡର ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ କରାହେଇଛି ତାକୁ 75 ରେ ଏବେ ବିକ୍ରି କରାହଉଛି ଆଉ ଖରାପ କଏନ ଯୋଉଟା କି 50 ଟଙ୍କାର ତାର ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲ ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ 50 ଟଙ୍କା now it is being circulated at 75 rupees okay so the good money has been undervalued bad money has been overvalued okay so ଲୋକ ଏବେ କଣ କରିବେ जो गुड मनी जोटा की वैल्यू अधिका एटाको ଏବେ ସେମାନେ ଲୁଚେଇ ଦେବେ ସେମାନେ ହୋल्ड କରିଦେବେ ସେମାନେ ମାର୍କେଟ सर्कुलेशन को ଛାଡିବେନି ଆଉ 50 ଟଙ୍କା जोटा की बैड इन जोटाର ଭ୍ୟାଲୁ କମ ଏଇଟାକୁ सर्कुलेट करेइबे ओके सो दिस सो एथरे कॉन्सेप्ट कोन आसीला बैड मनी विल ड्राइव आउट गुड मनी ओके सो दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ ग्रेशम्स लॉ ओके बैड मनी ड्राइव्स आउट गुड मनी राइट आई थिंक यू हैव अंडरस्टूड ओके बट जदि किसी डाउट होची तमे नेक्स्ट रेकॉर्डिंग देखि परिबो रेकॉर्डिंग रो तमर क्लियर हे जीवो ऑलराइट तो नेक्स्ट मूव टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन तो मिक्स्ड इकोनॉमी ओके so mixed economy it's an economy so mixed economy तो जानते हो where both the public sector and private sector they play together they coexist okay there is coexistence of public sector along with private sector this is the answer very simple question okay बाकी ऑप्शन करार किसी एनालाइज करिया भी किसी नहीं both agriculture industry are equally promoted by the state there is importance of small scale industries economy is controlled by military or civilian okay so बाकी ऑप्शन रो किसी एनालाइज करिया भी किसी नहीं तो okay तो question number 64 no, then 65 absolute poverty okay absolute poverty right so ଯେତକ ବାକି ବି ସବୁ ଅପସନ ଗୁଡା ଦିଆଯାଇଛି this may be sound like a confusing question but we'll see about this poverty okay in India our India रे poverty estimation has mostly been done compared to the calorific value requirements of the people okay तो इंडिया रे तमर जेमती पॉवर्टी एस्टिमेशन कमिटी अछि जेमती दांडेकर एंड रथ कमिटी अलग कमिटी लकड़ावाला कमिटी तेंदुलकर कमिटी रंगराजन कमिटी ओके तो देखो तमर दांडेकर 1971 फास्ट एठी भी तमर कैलोरी रिक्वायरमेंट अकॉर्डिंगली तमर पॉवर्टी एस्टिमेशन करा हैतला 2400 किलो कैलोरी पर डे फॉर रूरल एरिया 2100 किलो कैलोरी पर डे फॉर अर्बन एरिया ओके अलग कमिटी रे भी इट फॉलोड द दांडेकर रथ कैलोरी नॉर्म्स ओके लकड़ावाला कमिटी रे भी तमर कैलोरी नॉर्म्स को कंटिन्यू करा हैतला ओके तमर तेंदुलकर कमिटी 2009 रे दी it shifted from calorie norms to health expenditure on other areas like health, education, rent. Okay. 2014 Rangarajan committee re, it included area items like food and non-food essentials like transport, education, rent, etc. Okay. So तब देखियो ए दीटा रे लास्ट दीटा कमिटी रे ही it has moved away from calorific norms to other expenditures. Okay. So absolute poverty पचाची what is absolute poverty तो जदि तमे इंडिया कॉन्टेक्स्ट रे देखुछ तो we have mostly followed the minimum calorie requirements okay so एति भी तमे जानि छले भी you can pick out the correct option the correct option is B okay तो बाकी ऑप्शन गुडा देखि दवा बाकी ऑप्शन गुडा देखिया पे हम टिके देखिया पड़ियो व्हाट इज एब्सोल्यूट पॉवर्टी एंड रिलेटिव पॉवर्टी ओके relative poverty as the word suggests relative it is the level of poverty that changes based on context. Okay, it is relative to the economic climate. Okay, so relative poverty is when a household receives about 60% of the average household income in their own economy. All right. So ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ପଇସା ଅଛି, but not enough to afford anything above the basics. Okay, these individuals cannot afford activities and opportunities that average earners have access to an ordinary pattern. Okay, so average household ର 60% income ତାଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ଅଛି. Okay, so according to that economy and that place, they are relatively poor. Okay, so it is a social exclusion rather than a definitive financial inclusion. Relative poverty also changes over time as the wealth of society increases, so does the amount of resources and income. Okay, relative poverty works in relation to the society in question. Okay, so suppose USA रे average, suppose what average household income may be suppose $10,000. Okay, maybe suppose $1,000 per month. Okay, so 60% of the $600 ଯିଏ କରୁଛି ତା ତଳକୁ ଯିଏ income କରୁଛି, those are relatively poor in that country, in USA only. Okay, ତ $600 ଧରିକି ଯଦି ସେ ଗୋଟେ least developed country like Somalia କୁ ଯିବ, he may be a rich person in Somalia. Okay, so this relative concept it works in relation to the society in question. Okay, so income criteria जोटा कि relative poverty रे use हुए. Okay, so income criteria is used in relative poverty. So जो option गुड़ा अच्छी price level हो कि price level हो, see this price level जो तरह अच्छी, this deals with relative poverty, not absolute poverty. Okay, and poverty in absolute level of unemployment. Okay, so a person may be very rich, he can choose to stay unemployed. Okay, तो केते जन unemployed अछंती सेतर poverty level calculate करी हबनी. Okay, poverty in terms of absolute number of people, so एटा भी not a not a not the right option. Okay, poverty in terms of absolute number of people. Okay, so एतरे किसी clear picture आसुनी ए option. Okay, option B रे ही poverty in terms of basic calorie requirements. Okay, this is the answer. এই দুইটা ভিতর answer ହେଇପାରିବ, but जोठी price level ଆସିଲା, that is related to relative poverty. Okay, not absolute. तो absolute और relative poverty ଭିତରେ ଟିକେ definition ଟିକେ ଦେଖିଦବା ତା ଭିତରେ କଣ କଣ major differences. Okay, absolute poverty is the inability to meet basic physical needs like food, clothing and shelter. Relative is the economic status is below a defined percentage of median income in society. Okay, so society ର it works according to the society ର level କୋଉଠି ଅଛି. Okay, absolute fixed threshold ଅଛି like the $2.15 per day by World Bank. This is the income criteria measured by World Bank. Okay, तो एठी भाबनी जे absolute poverty income criteria कोड आसिला. So this is not a standard, this is a standard put a figure देवा ପାଇଁ ही दिया है जी. This is universal across countries and this reflects minimum subsistence. Okay, तो measure करिया ଗୋଟେ figure दिया है जी, but relative poverty रे ही income criteria बेसी यूज हुए. Okay, based on income distribution. So $2.15 दिया है ता माने भाबनी जे this is the income. Okay, so this is a figure given by World Bank to compare. Okay, so and income जोटी आसला सेठी that deals with relative poverty. Okay, so it is variable depending on time and place, reflects inequality. It absolute focuses on survival needs. Okay, focuses on economic inequality and standard of living. Absolute deals with calorific index. This is the basic income level. तो first से खाइले सेना बचिबो. Okay, तो खाइया ପାଇଁ क्या दरकार, किछ calorie दरकार. Okay, so absolute deals with absolute survival, basic survival. Okay, income, but relative poverty, it is below 50 to 60% of the national median. Okay, it is tells about social exclusion. Okay, person earning less than $2.15 per day is determined by World Bank. Okay, person in a rich country earning less than average citizen, policy by developing countries. Okay, poverty alleviation program focused on basic needs. Okay, absolute income threshold, relative income threshold. Okay, so these are simple points, you should know this. Okay, absolute poverty, a person cannot even meet the basic needs like food, shelter, etc. Relative poverty, it is worse off than the average person in your society even if basic needs are met. Okay, so relative poverty deals with income, absolute poverty deals with basic subsistence like calorific requirements. Okay, so answer will be B. So next question, who wrote the book Planned Economy for India? Okay, तो जदि ऑप्शन भी देखिबो, वल्लभ भाई पटेल, नेहरू, महात्मा गांधी. So these are all freedom fighters. M Visvesvaraya, he was the engineer. So this is the odd one out. Okay, तमे प्लान्ड इकोनॉमी देखिले तमे जवाहरलाल नेहरू को भी तमे एसोसिएट करि परिबो बट तमे एटा जानिथिले परिबो करि परिबो नहले तमे 50-50 ऑप्शन रे मे भी हम कंफ्यूज हेगी आइदर ए दुटा भितर कोटा कोटा मारियो ओके तो लेट अस सी अबाउट एम विश्वेश्वराय ओके तो एम विश्वेश्वराय 1861 to 1962 okay so he was the Bharat Ratna pioneering engineer, statesman, and scholar. He is the father of modern Mysore. Okay. He served as the Diwan of Mysore also. Engineers Day celebrated in India in his honor. It is in 15th September. Okay. The Engineers Day. Okay. So, uh, he was born in Karnataka. Okay. He started as an engineer in Bombay Presidency, worked in Middle East and Hyderabad. Okay, see, he was worked in Middle East, Yemen. Okay, and Hyderabad. So he worked under British India. Okay, he contributed to engineering and administration even after voluntary retirement in 1918 also. So his key contributions, he pioneered the block irrigation system. Okay, block irrigation system means the network of canals and dams to distribute water to agricultural lands covering villages and population within each block. Okay, तो आमे जिम जानी छ ब्लॉक रे सब डिवाइड हेछि हमर सब डिस्ट्रिक्ट हो ओके डिस्ट्रिक्ट रे बहुत ब्लॉक अछि प्रति ब्लॉक रे केमिति इरिगेशन हबो दैट वाज द पायनियरिंग वर्क ऑफ विश्वेश्वराय ओके implemented in Deccan. Sukur water solution, Sukur place, it is now in Pakistan. Okay, muddy water in Sukur on Indus River, he resolved it. Automatic water flood gate. Okay, he invented the patented automatic flood gates. It was first used in Khadakwasla. Okay, engineering education. He founded the government engineering college at Bengaluru. He economic planning, the Visheshwaraya plan. Okay, so he was an early proponent of economic planning. He authored the book Planned Economy for India. Okay, so in this book he proposed a 10-year plan. Okay, ଆମର ଯେମିତି 5-year plan ହଉଥିଲା he had proposed 10-year plans with the aim of doubling the income of country and his focus was on industrialization. ତମେ industrialization ବଢାଅ population ର dependency on agriculture କମାଅ. Okay, so that was the plan, economic plan of Viseswarai. Okay, so Indian Irrigation Commission 1899. Okay, ତ ତମେ ଜାଣିଥିବ ତମର କହିଛି ବି ତମର ଯେମିତି ଛପନିଆ ଅକାଲ ଗୋଟେ ଆସିଥିଲା. Okay, 1900 ରେ 1900 ରେ so 1899 or 1900 ରେ ଗୋଟେ ଛପନିଆ ଅକାଲ ଆସିଥିଲା. Then Lord Curzon was the viceroy. So this Indian Irrigation Commission of 1899 was established. It was established in 1901 by Lord Curzon. Okay, so this commission was headed by Sir Colin Scott Moncrieff. Okay, he was the chairman of the commission. Okay, so this commission was uh, tasked to address the widespread famine and access the irrigation needs. Okay, so this तो एई कमिशन रो मेंबर थिले सर विश्वेश्वराय. ओके, एई कमिशन रो मेंबर थिले सर विश्वेश्वराय. सो एई कमिशन रे so he introduced advanced irrigation techniques by becoming a member of this committee. Introduced irrigation techniques. Okay, and again this commission was a step in development of India's irrigation infrastructure and policies. Okay, so this commission's work laid the foundation for expansion of irrigation in India, with irrigated area increasing significantly by 1947. Right. So this was Viseswarai. International projects, he worked in Yemen on water supply. He advised flood protection in Hyderabad and Visakhapatnam. Okay, so he has also designed the flood protection systems of Hyderabad city. Okay, so he was the chief engineer of Mysore, oversaw major projects including the Krishnaraja Sagar Dam. Okay, KRS Dam. So he was a chief engineer in that project. Okay, and administrative contribution, he was a Diwan of Mysore after his retirement. Okay, so he focused on industrialization, infrastructure development. He has established the Mysore Soap Factory, Bangalore Polytechnic, State Bank of Mysore. State Bank of Mysore, as you all know, it must do with SBI. Okay, it merged with SBI in 2017. So 2017 ଟା merge ହେଇଥିଲା ତ maybe ଏଟା current affair question ବି ସେଇ ବର୍ଷର ହେଇପାରେ 2018 ରେ ହେଇଥିଲା 2017 ରେ SBI ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ଅଫ ମୈସୁର merge ହେଇଥିଲା 2017 ରେ ତ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ଅଫ ମୈସୁର ଯେହେତୁ ଫାଉଣ୍ଡର ହେଇଥିଲେ ବିଶ୍ବେଶ୍ଵରାୟ ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ question ପଚାରିଛି ଓକେ so alright so he also established the Bhadravati Iron and Steel Plant okay Bhadravati Iron and Steel Plant. It is also called the Viseswarai Iron and Steel Plant. Okay, so he was also a founder of this. He promoted industry, encouraged private investment, provide technical guidance. Okay, So he contributed to planning a bridge over Ganga River. Okay. So this was all about the works of Viseswara. And again, some other books. ଯଦି book ପଚାରିଛି ତ କିଛି other books by Viseswara, that is reconstructing India. Reconstructing India, that is in 1920, and another is Unemployment of India, its causes and cure. Okay. Its causes and cure. So he wrote it in 1932. Okay. So as you can see, despite being an engineer, he was also interested in economy of India. Okay. Reconstructing India, unemployment in India, planning in India. Okay. Planned economy for India. Okay. So despite being an engineer, he was also interested in economics. Okay. So this was about M. Viseswarai. Right. Next question. Nationalization of banks were done with the purpose of financing industries, improving credit facilities, consolidating economy, improving security of deposits. Okay. So देखो जितने की option अच्छी तो everything was the aim of the nationalization. Okay. Bank nationalization रो सब किसी aim थी but see India is a welfare nation. Okay. So India being a welfare nation, so you have to go with that option that helps the maximum amount of people. Okay. So improving credit facilities to the people. Okay. So this is a option रे ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ maximum benefit ମିଳିବ. Okay. Direct benefit ମିଳିବ. Improving credit facility. ବାକି nationalization ଯୋଗୁ industry को finance ହବ ଠିକ ଅଛି. That is true. Economy consolidate ହବ. That is true. Security of deposits improve. That is also true. But direct benefit credit facility improve ହେଲେ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ direct benefit ହବ. Okay. So India being a welfare nation, a socialist state, so you have to go with that option ଯୋଉଥିରେ କି maximum ଲୋକଙ୍କର ଭଲ ହଉଛି, welfare ହଉଛି. Okay. So option B is the answer. So national bank nationalization ଉପରେ ଟିକେ ଦେଖିଦବା. Bank nationalization means transferring ownership and control of private banks to government. Banks become public sector entities with the government as the majority shareholder. Okay. So nationalization केते phase ହେଇଥିଲା partial nationalization in 1955. Okay. SBI was created in 1955 by merging three imperial banks under SBI Act 1955. Okay. तीनटा imperial banks ଥିଲେ. Okay. Imperial Bank of India. So Imperial Bank of India. Imperial Bank of India. This was created in 1921. Okay. 1921. Okay. So 1921. This was created by merging merging three presidency banks. Okay. Presidency तीनटा ही चला था Bengal, Bombay and Madras. Okay. So by merging the Bank of Bengal, Bank of Bombay and Bank of Madras. Okay. This presidency bank came into existence. Okay. So by merging this imperial banks, this president imperial banks. Okay. So Imperial Bank of India came in 1921 by merging the presidency banks. Okay. Now okay, that three happened by merging the Imperial Bank of India. Okay, merging the Imperial Bank under SBI Act 1955. Imperial Bank, SBI Act 1955 रे State Bank of India hala. Okay, so this was the first nationalized bank of India. Okay, next this was the partial nationalization. Then comes the next phase, 1969. 14 private banks under were with deposits over 50 crore was nationalized under Bank Nationalization Act 1969. This was done under Indira Gandhi. Then phase 2 in 1986, more private banks deposits over 200 crore were nationalized. Okay. So कौन ପାଇଁ nationalization दरकार ହେଲା for planned economic development under 5-year plans. Okay, required state control over capital. Wars 1962, 1965 war, droughts. Okay, state public finance and poor security plan holiday in 60s and 69, reduced public investment and economic growth reduced. Okay, credit was skewed. Industry received 68%. Agriculture got less than 2%. But as we all know, till date, 60% of employment people are employed in agriculture. तो से टाइम रे भी agriculture को credit मिलु नथला, credit was skewed. तो कौन होतला ना industry received 68%. Okay, so industry belong to the business class. Okay, business class लोग only तांका पाखरे बैंक गुडा भी तांका अंडर रे ही रहउतला, private अंडर रे. Okay, बैंक तांका अंडर रहउतला. So what they did, तांका पाखरे ही बैंक अछि, तांका पाखरे ही industry अछि. तो बैंक रे जहाँ रिसोर्सेस हबो से इंडस्ट्री रे लगेबे इंडस्ट्री रे जहाँ प्रॉफिट हबो से बैंक रे लगेबे तब पुनी दिस साइकिल कंटिन्यूस तो लोक माने जो सब रहिले तांको किछि रिसोर्सेस मिलु नाही ओके तो लोक माने एठी आउट माने साइड लाइन ही गले तो लोक मानक कल्याण पई ए जो रिसोर्सेस गुडा जनरेट होची एगुडा लोक मानक कल्याण केमसे लागियो सेति पई बैंक को नेशनलाइज करा गला ओके The green revolution be darkar thala for success of agriculture and credit expansion. Banks only served the urban elite. Rural population lacked access, as I have said. Okay. Nationalization aim, social welfare, control private monopolies. Private monopolies, jota mi कहली, bank अच्छी, industry अच्छी, both belong to the same businessman. Okay. ସେମାନେ bank ରୁ industry ରେ ପଇସା ଲଗେଇବେ, industry ରେ profit bank ରେ ରଖିବେ. Okay. Again, ଲୋକ ମାନଙ୍କର ଯାହା ବି ଡିପୋଜିଟ ଅଛି ସେମାନେ ଯଦି ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କରେ ରଖିବେ ତ ସେ ପଇସାଟା ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରିଆଲ କ୍ଲାସ ର ବେନିଫିଟ ରେ ୟୁଜ ହବ ନଟ୍ ଫର ଦି କମନ ପିପୁଲ ଓକେ to control private monopoly, promote inclusion, financial inclusion, address regional imbalance, support priority sector, enable better resource allocation. Okay. And benefits of nationalization, removal of barriers. Okay. It broke the division between banker and customer, expanded customer base, improved service delivery. Okay. Wider reach, bank expanded to rural areas. Okay. Branch expansion hala, reoriented lending, focus on priority sector like agriculture, MSME, credibility boost, increased trust in banking system because ଏବେ government ର bank ଅଛି government ହାତରେ ଅଛି ମାନେ ଲୋକ ସେଟା trust କରିକି ତାଙ୍କ deposit ରଖିବେ okay and it promoted banking habit of people priority sector lending norms okay agriculture and allied sector saving mobilization savings are channelized into productive sectors of economy okay criticism कौन inadequate reach okay despite expansion many areas remain unbanked due to lower efficiency profitability political pressure asla okay professionalism पड़ेला okay reduced efficiency political interference populist policies like loan melas led to rising NPA in public sector banks okay public sector banks तो ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ କରିବେ ବୋଲି ସେ ଯାହା ବି ଲୋନ ନେଲେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ମାଫ ବି କରିଦେଲେ ଲୋନ ମେଳାରେ ଲୋନ ୱେଭର କରିଦେଲେ ତ ଏନପିଏ ଆସିଲା ସବୁ ଓକେ increased cost large staff administrative expansion inefficiency union activism okay and those raised expenditures interest rate complexity multiple interest rates across loan types worsened the NPAs okay तो मल्टीपल इंटरेस्ट रेट्स मींस रेट टेपिजिंग काहाको किसी क्लियर रूल जଣା ନାହିଁ तो बहुत जगह अलगा जगह अलगा रेट ओके तो due to confusion among policy this led to NPA issues okay so this is all about bank nationalization left next comes headquarters of World Trade Organization okay World Trade Organization headquarters of World Trade Organization it is in Geneva is in Switzerland a city in Switzerland about World Trade Organization ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ କହିଥିଲି କ୍ଲାସ ଆରମ୍ଭରୁ ଗୋଟେ ଟେବୁଲ କରିଛି ଓକେ ଟେବୁଲ ବୁଝିଦବା World Trade Organization okay World Trade Organization so John Maynard Keynes his ideas on post-war international economic governance to avoid economic conflicts okay so world war को avoid करिया ପାଇଁ केतक proposal ଥିଲା ଯଦି ତମେ trade କରିବ the trading nations do not fight with each other ଯଦି if you trade then you become stakeholders in each other's economy okay so when you become stakeholders in each other's economy then the option of war becomes an expensive option which you will not choose to deal with okay so trade can reduce war okay so that was the idea Keynes John Maynard Keynes କହିଥିଲେ okay ତମେ economy trade ବଢାଅ trade ବଢେଇଲେ ତମର ଏବେ conflict ହବନି okay then comes the Bretton Woods agreement as you have seen 1947 ରେ international trade organization ହେଇଥିଲା the Havana Charter and the GATT general agreement on trade and tariff okay ଏଗୁଡା ସବୁ ହେଇଥିଲା UN ରେ so GATT round of trade negotiations led to the Uruguay round of talks 1986 and 1994 1995 ରେ establish ହେଲା World Trade Organization is established outside the UN system okay so please note this WTO is outside the UN system UNCTAD is inside the UN system okay WTO has no link with the UN machinery okay permanent government bodies they monitor the implementation of trade rules okay सब government मानकर representative offices ଅଛି World Trade Organization office रे तो they deal with themselves okay ତାଙ୍କର they deal with the trade rules themselves okay UN ର କିଛି interference ନାହିଁ government bodies negotiate with each other secretariat provides neutral technical support to negotiations okay accession has to be negotiated limited role of non-government stakeholders okay so, but UNCTAD ତମେ ଯେମିତି ଦେଖିଦବ non-government stakeholders also participated in UNCTAD. Okay. ଏଥିରେ କଣ ହଉଛି WTO ରେ only governments they discuss with each other how to engage in trade. Okay, non-government organization को किसी role नहीं. Okay, mandate rule-based organization, binding multilateral trade laws through negotiations. Okay, dispute settlement mechanism अच्छी with mandatory decision can apply sanction. Okay, judicial role भी अच्छी. Okay, WTO work is confined to existing trade agreement and and to scope of the negotiations. Okay, so its mandate is narrow. Okay, mandate is narrow based on the existing trade rules. Okay, ଆମେ ଯେମିତି ଦେଖିଲେ UNCTAD ର wide mandate ଅଛି. Okay, ସେ trade ହଉ development ହଉ investment ହଉ ବହୁତ କିଛି ଉପରେ discussion करे. Okay, it engages in holistic discussion, but WTO ର mandate is very narrow. ଏବେ ଯୋଉ ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ ରୁଲ୍ ଅଛି ସେ ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ ରୁଲ୍ ହିସାବରେ କେମିତି ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ ହବ ସେଇ ହିସାବରେ ଖାଲି ଡିସ୍କସ୍ ହୁଏ WTO ରେ. ଓକେ, ସୋ that is the mandate of WTO. Okay, ideas of WTO: main goal is not development but to avoid commercial disputes. Okay, so this is a elitist organization. UNCTAD ର ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ବି ଗୋଟେ ଆଜେଣ୍ଡା ଅଛି, ବଟ୍ ଏଥିରେ ଖାଲି ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ ହିଁ ଭଲସେ ହଉ, ବାକି ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ହଉ ନ ହଉ that doesn't matter, ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ ଭଲସେ ହଉ. ଓକେ, same trade rules and reciprocity apply to all. Special differential treatment is introduced with various intensities. Okay, Doha Development Agenda introduced in 2001. So ଏଇଥିରୁ ତମର special and differentiated treatment ଉପରେ first introduce ହେଇଥିଲା in WTO. Okay, so trade liberalization and implementation of trade rules leads to development. Okay, that is the motto of WTO. ଯେତେ trade ହବ ଖାଲି trade କରିଦିଅ ତମ development automatic ହେଇଯିବ, trickle down ହେଇଯିବ, one size fits all. Okay, so ତମେ ଏଇଟା ଦେଖିଦବ, one size fits all, this and special differential treatment. Okay, so these are the, so UNCTAD does not adopt the one size fits all approach. Okay, but WTO does the same. Okay, again, so this is about WTO. ତମେ ଦେଖିଦେଲ ତ ମୋ କହିବା କଥା କି UNCTAD, UN Conference on Trade and Development deals with trade. WTO, World Trade Organization, also deals with trade. But what is the difference between these two bodies? So my aim of showing you this table is this. I wanted to highlight the difference between the two. Okay, so WTO, UNCTAD with a difference ଟା ଜାଣିଥିବ. Okay, and okay, so WTO headquartered is in Geneva. UNCTAD, as you saw, UN secretary, it is within UN secretariat, so it must be in New York. Okay, UN secretariat, it must be in New York. Okay, so तो ଦେଖିଦେବି ମୁଁ ଏଠି ଲେଖିଦେବି ଆଉ ଥରେ verify କରିକି UNCTAD secretary, UNCTAD ର headquarter କୋଉଠି. Okay, I think it is in New York, but I will verify and write here. Okay, now comes the next question. 68 gala 69, which is true about the Hindu growth rate in India. Okay, so ତମେ ମେ ବି ଜାଣିଥିବ କି ନ ଜାଣିଥିବ, ବଟ୍ ଅପସନ ଯଦି ତମେ ଦେଖିପାରିବ, ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ ଅବାଉଟ୍ ସୋସିଆଲ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଇକୋନୋମିକ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ ଅଫ ଦ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ପପୁଲେସନ ଓନ୍ଲି. ସୋ ଗୋଟେ ରିଲିଜିୟନ କୁ ହିଁ ଏକ୍ସକ୍ଲୁଡ୍ କରିଦେଇଛି, ତ ମେ ନଟ୍ ବି ଆନ୍ ଅପସନ. ଓକେ, ଡିସପ୍ଲେସ୍ ହାଇ ଗ୍ରୋଥ ପରଫର୍ମାନ୍ସ ଅଫ ସର୍ଟେନ୍ ସେକ୍ସନ୍ସ ଅଫ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ପପୁଲେସନ ଇନ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ. ଓକେ, ମେ ବି ହେଇଥାଇପାରେ, ବଟ୍ ଅଗେନ୍ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ପପୁଲେସନ ଗୋଟେ ସେକ୍ସନ କୁ ହିଁ ଏକ୍ସକ୍ଲୁଡ୍ କରାହେଇଛି, ତ may not be this option may not be true. Okay, hints at high growth rate in India during 2000 to 2010. Okay, maybe exposes low growth occurrence of Indian economy during 1950 to 1980. So this is the answer. ତମେ ଯଦି ଟିକେ ଭାବିବ ଯେ India is a secular country, so secularism is inscribed into the preamble, ତ ଗୋଟେ population ଉପରେ ତ ମେ ବି ଅପସନ ନ ହେଇଥାଇପାରେ, ତ you can eliminate A and B. ବାକି C ଆଉ D ଭିତରେ ତମର confusion ରହିପାରେ 50-50. ତମ knowledge ଥିବ ଯଦି ତମେ you can lock in to the correct option. Okay, so Hindu rate of growth ଉପରେ ଦେଖିଦବା ଟିକେ. Okay, so it was coined by economist Raj Krishna in 1978. It refers to India's low annual economic growth rate averaging around 4% during 1950 to 1980. Okay, before the 1991 reforms. Okay, so this period was marked by dirigist. Okay, dirigist, this is the term for centrally planned economic policy. Okay, dirigist. Okay, heavy government intervention and indicative planning, state directed investment, use of market tools, that is taxes and subsidies, to achieve state economic goals. Okay, so this was the context before LPG reforms. Okay, so criticism of the term of Hindu rate of growth, neoliberal economists have argued that this low growth is due to the over regulation, and they supported the LPG reforms that began in 1991. Okay, and again it oversimplifies complex factors. Okay, बहुत गुटे factor अच्छी low economic growth हमारा, जेमती हमारा बहुत population अधिका थिला, हमारा से stage रे international relation हमारा इत्ते भलो नथिला. Okay, during जो से stage रे cold war time. Okay, international relation इत्ते भलो नथिला, तो maybe हमें cope up करी पारनी because we balanced both sides. यूएसए को भी प्लीज करथलु यूएसएसआर को प्लीज करूथलु तो मे बी कहीं विलिंग नथले इंडिया को डेवलप करि पारे ओके सो बहुत जोड़े फैक्टर थला बहुत जोड़े फैक्टर थला व्हाई वी did not grow at rapid rate okay they oppose the sole use of GDP as a progress indicator okay and post LPG 1990 reform पर Indian economy grow around 6 to 7% okay and okay so since 2016, GDP growth rate has slowed. In March 2023, Raghuram Ranjan has warned that India's growth was close to the old Hindu rate of growth. Okay, so Hindu rate of growth, এটা তোমার ଏବେ ବି current affairs ରେ ବି ଅଛି because of low growth rate of the GDP. Okay, so it is the low growth occurrence of Indian economy during 1950 to 1980. Okay, this is the Hindu rate of growth that is coined by Raj Krishna. Okay, so now comes the next question. What are guilt-edged security? Okay. So it is static question. Security is issued by government. Okay. So why this name guilt-edged security? So historically, the Bank of England. Okay. Bank of England. Bank of England issue government security certificates with golden edges. Okay. Golden edges security certificate. Golden edges. This was called gilded edges. Okay, gilded edges. So A through gilded edges means gold plated. Okay, gold plated ଯେମିତି certificate ଅଛି ତମକୁ ଗୋଟେ certificate ଦିଆଗଲା ତ certificate ର border okay ଏ border ଟା gold color ର ହେଇଥିବ okay golden color ହେଇଥିବ so golden color means it is a symbol of quality and safety okay so because of this type of securities এই name ଟା ଆସିଗଲା ତମର gilt security okay gilded edges ରୁ gilt security. So, government security, tradable instrument issued by central government or state government, these they carry partially no risk of default. Okay, they do not carry risk of default. They are a symbol of quality. That's why they are called risk-free gilt-edged instruments. Okay, gilt gilt-edged instruments. Okay, so gilt-edged security is security issued by government. Okay, not by public sector, not by MNCs, or private sector or companies. Okay. Now comes the next question, criticism of Rostow's theory of economic growth. Okay, so Rostow's theory of economic growth ଉପରେ ଟିକେ ଦେଖିଦବା. Okay, so this theory was given by Walt Rostow. Walt Rostow in 1960s. Okay, 1960s. So he proposed that there is a linear progression through which societies pass through from a traditional agrarian society to a modern industrialized nation. Okay, so according to Rostow, there is a linear progression. Okay, so Walt Rostow gave this theory. So theory ଉପରେ ଟିକେ ଦେଖିଦବା. Okay, this is the Rostow's model of economic growth. Okay, so Rostow's economic model ରେ ପାଞ୍ଚଟା stage ଅଛି. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 stages of economic growth. So stage one is the traditional society. This is stage one, where the society is stagnant and there is social stratification in the society. Okay, stage one कौन होची agrarian society रहिबो, primitive labor intensive subsistence agriculture रहिबो, technology insurance एरा सब किछि ही नथिबे. Okay, traditional living society रे social structure hierarchical थिबो, vertical mobility of labor नथिबो, power and capital concentrated in the hands of few elites, stagnant rate of economic growth. Okay, so these are the first stage, that is the traditional society. Okay, then preconditions for takeoff. This is the stage two. Preconditions for takeoff means okay. So ଏବେ ସବୁ infrastructure ତିଆରି କରାଯିବ takeoff ପାଇଁ. Okay, ତ ଏବେ କଣ ହବ shift towards production of subsistence agriculture ଆଗରୁ ଥିଲା, ଏବେ shift towards cash crops, mechanization of agriculture. There is a rise in entrepreneurial class who has ability to take risks. Okay, ଏବେ କିଛି କିଛି ନୂଆ investment ଆସିବେ, especially in manufacturing, that is the secondary sector. ଯେହେତୁ mechanization ବଢିବ. Okay, banking and financial institution ବି ଆସିବେ. Okay, ତ and there is ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ economy national economy ବଢିବ. Okay, government ର ଏବେ କାମ main role ରହିବ to implement the economic reforms. Okay, transport and communication କିଛି ରହିବ, agriculture productivity ଟିକେ ବଢିବ. Okay, ଏବେ society ରେ planning ହବ ଟିକେ redistribution of income ଉପରେ ଟିକେ ଦେଖାଯିବ. Okay, ଏବେ ନୂଆ ନୂଆ political elites ଆସିବେ, I mean improved work culture, there is faith in private enterprise. Okay, so ei dinsa asila pare these are the preconditions for take off. Okay, jodi ei conditions oda preconditions oda thik se establish hei gala, then comes the take off stage where there is change in social political system, there is rapid growth. Okay, so this stage 3, it is called the great watershed. This is the great watershed movement, okay, where industrial revolution ki social revolution both can occur, okay, in a relatively short span of time. Agro growth ete bhalo nathila, ebe take off stage re exponential growth hobo. Jemti double digit economic growth that happened in China and it also happened to India in the 2010, okay. So now there is high economic growth. There are leading sectors that provide the backbone of economy. Service sector ho, तमर industry sector ho, okay. Trade and commerce बहुत ही बड़ी. ଏବେ କଣ ହବ ତମର demographic dividend ଯୋଉଟା ତମେ ଏଇଥିରେ so civil society organization now they are demand active from the government. Government through PPP through projects of implementation of. Okay, now comes the according to also development of maturity means consumption body gala to tomorrow maturity hai gala. Okay, so what is mature stage? Here modern technology used to use all the resources. Okay, leading sectors are propelled. Okay, ଏବେ leading sector ଆସିବେ ଆହୁରି ନୂଆ ନୂଆ sector ବି ଆସିବେ like deep tech startups. Okay, agriculture ରେ ବହୁତ ହି mechanization ହବ, ବହୁତ ହି skill wages ଆସିବେ, social security ବଢିବ. Okay, again government ର role କମିବ, reduction in social inequality, increase in standard of living. Okay, now comes the age of high mass consumption. What is this? Okay, only the like the knowledge economy, the quaternary and quinary sectors, they dominate the economy. Okay, society is almost society ରେ ଏବେ inequality ତ ରହିବ but almost everyone is living in a good state. Okay, there is limited role of political leadership. Political leadership mostly acts as a facilitator and not a decision maker. That is the minimum government and maximum governance. Okay, again the society ରେ welfare oriented state ବି ହବ, ଯେମିତି ତମକୁ ଏବେ ଯେହେତୁ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡେ resources ଅଛି ତ ଏବେ ତମକୁ welfare ରେ ବି engage କରିପାରିବ just like the Scandinavian countries. Okay, now country tries to assert its uniqueness or creativity. Okay, ତ ସେଥିରେ ଏବେ ସବୁ knowledge economy, innovation ଏଗୁଡା ସବୁ ବେଶୀ ଚାଲିବ. Okay, like this can be attributed to Japan ho ki South Korea ho. Okay, South Korea ଏବେ ତାଙ୍କର population ବି aging ହବ. ତ according to Rosto କେବଳ economic development ହେଲେ ହିଁ ତମର society grow କଲା. Mature society is that one where consumption is very high. Okay, so what are the options? Much available data contradicts his thesis about the take-off stage. Okay, so take-off stage, this is the third stage of Rostow's economic model. So take-off stage ତାଙ୍କ କହିବା କଥା ଯେ this is about the take-off stage. Okay, so society will travel through these. Okay, ତାଙ୍କର କହିବା କଥା ଯେ ଏଇ stage ପରେ ଏଇ stage ପରେ ଏଇ stage, but ଏମିତି ବି ହେଇପାରେ ଗୋଟେ society ରେ we can have simultaneous existence of both. ଯେମିତି India ରେ traditional society ଅଛି କି North India ରେ ତମର mature society ବି ଅଛି South India ରେ. Okay, ଯେମିତି suppose CSR ହଉ, suppose corporate social responsibility, ଏଇଟା ହଉଛି India ରେ CSR ବି ଅଛି. This is a stage of high mass consumption where ତମର free ରେ ବହୁତ କିଛି କାମ କରାହଉଛି. Okay, so as a social responsibility. Okay, so this India ରେ ବହୁତ ଗୋଟେ stage they exist simultaneously. Okay, ଯେମିତି ତମର Western India, it is already in the take off stage. ତମର ସେଠି infrastructure, port, road ସବୁ ହେଇଯାଇଛି. But North East state ରେ ଦେଖିବ till now we are engaged in tribal conflicts also, traditional society. Okay, so much available data contradicts his thesis about take off stage. Okay, that is true. There is no explanation why growth occurs after take off. Okay, so ସେ just କହିଛନ୍ତି take off ହେଇଗଲା ତାପରେ ପୁଣି ଆହୁରି ବଢିଯିବ. ଯଦି ତ କଣ ପାଇଁ ବଢିଯିବ ସେ କହିନାହାନ୍ତି, ସେ just କହିଛନ୍ତି ଏମିତି ହିଁ ହବ. Okay, yes, that is true. His hypothesis of stages of growth is difficult to test empirically. Okay, so yes, real life situation रे this is just a model, this is an ideal. Real life रे बहुत गुटे complexity, बहुत गुटे variable ଥାଏ जोड़ा कि हमें maybe we have not taken into account. Okay, so answer is all the options are correct. Okay, so सब जाक ही correct. These are the criticism of Rostow's model of economic growth. Okay, so today we have Okay, I would take the 72 questions just take this is the last question for today. Which of the rank one among cleanest cities of India in ranking of Ministry of Urban Development? Okay, so this is the Swachh Sarvekshan survey. Okay, so as you know, Indore has topped this list for 7 years in a row. Okay, so awards have been given since 2016, and Indore has topped this list for 7 years continuously for 7 years. Okay, the last Swachh Sarvekshan awards held in 2023. The rank one ଦି ଜଣଙ୍କୁ ଆସିଥିଲା Indore Surat ଦି ଜଣଙ୍କୁ ଆସିଥିଲା. Okay, so Indore ଆଉ Surat ଦି ଜଣଙ୍କୁ ଆସିଥିଲା. So 2018 question, then Indore was the top state. Okay, ଏଟା current affair question ଥିଲା ସେଇ time ର. Okay, so this much for today. 72 ପନ୍ତା ଆମେ ଗଲେ. Okay, in the next class we will try to complete the 2008 question paper. Okay, so thank you very much.